Hi guys. This question was asked in a recent contest, and I'm trying to uh, help you guys to develop the thinking. Let's. I will not jump to solution directly. Probably I'll just show you the number of questions we should ask to come up with the approach, and slowly if you do this practice for each and every question, then you will develop the ability to come up with the new solutions for different questions, or basically your problem solving ability will improve. So let's start, and in this question we are given queries, and as you can see, the first value represents the type of the query, whether it's a 0 for a row operation, 1 for the column. The second one is the number of either column or row based on the previous operation given here, and then the last thing is the value. So for example, what does this 001 means? So initially we have to create n cross n matrix. Every element would be 0, as you can see, and then since it is a 0 here, it means we have to do an row operation, and in row operation what we need to do, 0th row will be replaced by 1. So in 0th row we are replacing everything by 1. And then let's take one more example for a column operation. So this, you can see a column operation, since it's a type 1, and in the second column we want to replace all values by 2. So you can see this is the second column, all values are replaced by 2. So now you can understand what we want to do here is we have to perform all the queries, and then we will eventually have some matrix filled with values, and we want to return the sum of these values, right? So this is all about the problem statement. You can maybe pause the video if you are still not getting, read a problem statement one more time. um, okay, and now I'm going to think about the few questions to come up with the approach, and I hopefully think that it may help you. So first question I would ask is maybe we should try to generate few examples of our own self, so that we can understand like what type of questions we can ask. So for example, initial matrix we can keep 3 cross 3, and I would say, let's say, first row, right? I want to perform a operation where I want to replace by 1. So let's say replace by 1 1 1, and I want to do another consecutive operations where I want to replace 0th row with 3 or maybe 2. So let's replace by 2. So 2 2 2, and then other values remain same, right, in this matrix. So this is like left side is like first version of it, and then we have second version, right? So eventually which value matters? The one which came last, right? So first question we can ask is which value is contributing to our answer. So in this case, the latest value, right? So can we say that we can ignore the value? So for example, now I did with 2 to 2, maybe let's say I want to replace this value by 3 3 3 or 4 4 4, right? And so only thing matter at the last would be this, right? Because anyway this will replace the 1, so we don't care about the sum or 1's contribution in this matrix. So basically this is the contribution of 4, and it will be important eventually. So this is the first question we can ask. The second one, right? If we have a matrix, let's say we have this matrix 1 4 4 1 2 2 1 0 0, right? And now if I ask you to perform an row operation, so for example, what we had is 1 4 4 1 2 2 1 0 1 0, right? So good example would be, let's say, if we take this column basically. So if this column I want to replace by 6 6 and 6, so how many values got changed here? Total 3, right? And which value got replaced? Basically 2 values, right, here. So one more thing we could think is maybe uh, if we go from left to right, uh, I mean the traversing the queries from left to right, what is the benefit, and then maybe we can also ponder if we come from right to left. So since the last value matter here, we can think like maybe we can come from last value towards 0, so that if same row or column uh, has been used right for performing some operation, then we can simply ignore it. So for example, uh, the last query here would be like replacing the first row with the 4, and then again we are trying to replace the same row, right? Like, so we can simply ignore this contribution here. So the question here to ask is like, if we are coming from right to left, uh, what how many times the contribution of value would be, right? So in this case, what we can do is maybe we can now I'm just trying to go towards a little bit of approach. These are the two questions I think we should ask, and then maybe let's understand the approach, like for each row operation. So if operation is a row operation, then what we can do is uh, the contribution of any value, right? Value means this last value. This value would be the n whatever is given minus number of column seen, right? And if it is column operations, the contribution would be this, right? Like value into n minus number of rows seen. So this would be definitely contribution. So what if, like, if this row is repeating, right? So we can, in that case, we can simply ignore it. So we can check if this row is in maybe we can have a hash map, right? Like this, in this we can check if row is in row seen, then we can simply ignore it. And if my column is already seen in maybe column seen, we can ignore it. And eventually we'll get an answer of this. So I would maybe try to quickly code it. If you guys has understood the approach, maybe even comment it if you are still not clear about anything. So let's check, just let's write the code quickly, like col sin equal to maybe a set, then row sin is also a set, then I will go from last, like length of queries -1 to -1. I will check if it is if q I write n0, if this is the row operation. If it is a row operation, then what we do, we need to save the answer, right? So we can say answer equal to 0, and contribution means we have to add it, right? And what is the value here? It will be I of 2 into n minus length of col sin. And of course, if the second value means the number of row which we are trying to see is in row sin, then we'll simply ignore it, right? We don't want to consider it. And in else part, and before else part, once we are done with this, we have to say that we have seen this row, right? So you can add this q of I, and then 1, right? And we need similar code for column as well. So here we can say col, this would be row, and instead of row we'll add this to column, and yeah, we can. Oh, q is not valid because it should be queries and queries as well. Yeah, this should be queries as well. So yeah, I am quite messed up the code. Yeah, I think now I can just submit this and let's see if it works. And yeah, it did. So guys, if you have any queries, please post a comment. Just for testing, I just quickly made this video. Maybe going forward I will try to stick with my good coding practices, and best of luck for your coding preparations.